Ever wonder what the pros do differently from you that helps them win games? Well, it's the small things you might not be focusing on that might matter a whole lot. Greetings, my friend. It is I, Stray, back again with another video for you guys. This time, it'll be all about the little things pros do every round that make all the difference in the world. In this video, you'll learn about things you can do every round to give your team the best chance to win the game. These ideas will make you a more solid player fundamentally, and by understanding them, you'll be on your way to becoming a pro. Hope you're ready to take your game to the next level. Let's do this. Alright, before we start, we have our question of the day. What is the best or worst change in patch 1.07? I want to know your thoughts on the latest patch. For me, I'd have to say the worst change has to be the 3 nerfs to Sage, to her wall, heal, and slow orb. I feel like if Riot did want to nerf something, they should have done it a bit slower like before where they only nerfed her 1 bit at a time. Now they decided to pull the trigger on this huge nerf and just completely gutted her to the ground. Her slow, wall, and heal all have been reduced significantly. Really sad, as now it seems people and pros have been speculating we probably won't see any more Sage for the near future. Rest in peace. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. To start this video off, we're bringing this term back to life. It's the rollout. If you played TF2 or Overwatch, you might remember this term. This term essentially means optimizing your pathing to get to an important part of the map to gain map control. This is a simple attacking concept, yet in less coordinated teams, I always see this. People either going AFK or going to the wrong part of the map right before the round starts. You should always know what you want to do before the round starts instead of scrambling everywhere and wasting time. You want to make sure that you and your team are on the same page and are as close to the buy barrier as you can be. That way you waste no time in getting into your spot and creating no gaps in your formation that opponents can possibly exploit. By missing a player or not getting to your location in time might result in flank opportunities for the enemies. You will always see pros always get as close as they can to the buy barrier when a round is about to start to get to their spot as fast as they can. They are never confused on what they want to do and are always in the spot they want to be shortly after the barrier comes down. Time is crucial, especially on the attacking side, as they are the ones with incentive to go to a site and plant the spike. Don't waste any time making things happen on the map. Even 3 seconds could come back and bite you when it comes down to the close rounds as an attacker. Don't AFK at the beginning of the rounds and discuss with your team what you're going to do and follow up on that. If your job is to solo take B main, make sure you're up and close to that B main buy barrier. Next thing I want to talk about is something you always see in a professional game on attack is that they set up on a default. Again, this is for the attacking side. A default is where you split across the map and hold for pushes. This is important because you want to make sure opponents are not pushing, and if they are, you want to punish them by killing them. By killing that pushing defender, there will be more weaknesses on parts of the map that can be exploited. It also does put fear into them, making them less likely to push out in the future. Remember, sometimes you don't need to watch an angle if you have certain agents on your team like Cypher or Killjoy. Cypher has great knowledge with his trapwires and a camera that allows him to control basically half a map by himself. Killjoy has an alarm bot and turret she can use to do the same. Cypher is more commonly seen currently in this meta, but both are great agents to set up their utility to watch the flank. With a trapwire or turret in the right place, you can allocate your manpower to a different part of the map and trade out better. You'll always see pros defaulting and gaining map control early just because they respect their opponents and make sure to give them no openings early on. Defaulting is a very standard idea you want to understand if you want to climb to higher elos. Segueing into map control from defaulting. Defaulting controls the map so you know defenders aren't pushing. After you gain that default position and confirm nobody is pushing, you want to go for map control. Pros will always do this, and there's nobody better to do this than with a controller agent. You will never see a team not run smokes right now in the current meta. In order to counter the operator as well as get great map control, controllers will always have a spot. Whoever is playing the controller though, they need to smoke off important areas at the right time where it allows their team to move up. If the smoke comes out too early before the team is in position, it might have been wasted, and if it's too late, some teammates might be dead. The map split vent room is a great example for this. By smoking vents, you put a lot of pressure on mid and take away a nice defending crossfire in the mid area. You always want to do this as it will make defending side use their utility and scare them. Same thing on ascent mid. Smoking catwalk and markets will help create a lot of excellent space for your team to move up and gain a lot of ground. It'll also help you dodge those operators as their line of sights will be blocked. Through those smokes, you can either choose to go up catwalk for an A split or a B split through markets. On Ascent, I'd highly recommend Omen for his amazing signature rechargeable smokes that can be deployed at very far distances. Map control is a very important key factor in getting close enough while staying alive in order to execute properly onto the site. You need preparation and setups to have a clean site take. Next on the list is playing for picks. This means not rushing your playstyle. Pros always know when they can methodically work a pick through smart positioning and good use of utility. Make sure your team is not rushing every round, as that hardly ever works. It might work in gold and below, but as soon as you start meeting decent players, that usually gets too obvious and you'll get trashed on. You want to sometimes switch it up and play slowly. Things won't always go your way when you're playing for picks, but on rounds when you do get that one pick, it'll be huge for your team to capitalize on, especially when you have an operator. That is the best time to slow the tempo and play for picks. On defense, try to get as aggressive as you can and push up, trying to spot somebody and get a pick and fall back. You always want to play for man advantage whenever you can. On offense, whenever you get that first nice pick, it normally allows your team to get on site pretty easily. If your team is ever having trouble getting anything started, remember to try and slow down the game and be rational with your thinking. You'll win a lot more games if you're slowing down the game and going for picks, rather than 5-man rushing a site every time. I guarantee it. For our next one, it's going to be concealing your position. Whenever you see pros play, most of the time they're walking when they're going within enemy hearing range. The reason is because they want that element of surprise to throw off the opponent's crosshair placement or reaction. If they constantly stomped around everywhere, they'd be easy huntings and pickings for the opposing team. When taking map control or playing a clutch, remember to use that walk button if you don't know where enemies might be. On the other side of the coin, always be listening for footsteps, as that's very valuable information on where the enemy is playing so you can line up your crosshair easier. If the opponent is going to tell you where they are for free, you take that. Once you know where an opponent is going to be, all you gotta do is put them down. So remember, if you find yourself running too much and getting punished for it, start walking more. It's very underrated, as you can get a really good position if nobody sees you. But just to mention, try not walking into common angles enemies are holding. Shooting walking targets is extremely easy. There's a time and place for everything. Next up is something real simple even a caveman can do. It's pressing tab. Before every round in the setup phase while the buy barrier is still up, pros always check the status on ultimates and the economy. Economy is very straightforward. Are they saving or are they buying? Do we save or do we buy? What can I afford on this eco? For ultimates, it's a little bit more complex. Depending on what agents they have, you have to play around that. If it's on bind and you know Raze has ultimate playing A short, you probably don't want to go into that choke point. You'd probably instead want to go work B side away from the Raze. If the enemy has Hunter's Fury and you get tagged by the arrow drone, you better bust out that knife quickly and start dancing. Before every round starts, I want you guys to make it a habit calling out ultimates your team has and the ultimates that the enemy team has. And of course, take a look at the economy if your team can afford the buy or to save. You don't want to be that guy who is broke on buy rounds. Not cool. For this, I also want to talk about using your utility. Pros always think about the opportune time to use their utility. When you're playing an agent, always think, is this a good time to use this or should I just have my gun out? I see so many lower elo players always not grasp how close the enemy is when pulling out utility. If you pull it out too late, obviously you're gonna get swung on and die. Sometimes it's just better to have your gun out. You have to get used to sound cues and how far away they are. Especially when you're somebody like Phoenix where you have to wait for them to get into that sweet spot so that they are out in the open when flashed. Know your role on the team and try to help your team to the best of your ability to win. If you're playing duelists, use your stuff to try and get a pick. Controllers obviously need to smoke off certain places to help their team get to better spots. Sentinels need to ration their utility to defend a place, and initiators set up their teammates for success. Know what your agent does and when to do it. Don't use utility with no thought behind it. You want to get as much value as you can when you do use an ability. Lastly, I want to mention how pros always play together and make plays off of each other. Valorant is a team game and it requires coordination and communication, something you might not always find in solo queue, but you always want to try to the best of your ability. You always want the team to be greater than the sum of its parts, and how do you do that? Well, it's by communicating. What ideas do you want? Can you flash for a teammate or smoke out an angle? Maybe you can support with a recon dart or a spy cam. It could even just be holding an angle for your teammates. Team play is very important, especially when you guys need to trade each other out. The worst thing that can happen is when one person on the other team gets like 3+ kills in a round and you're just thinking to yourself, we should have traded. If you're having trouble trading, remember to follow the guy in front of you closely. Don't play so far back. If your teammate is holding W, you hold W too. Don't be afraid to take up that challenge and trade out your teammate. Good trading is what will help you win games and climb elo. And that's it for our video, things pros do every round. These are subtle small things you might not have picked up on, and I hope you can use this knowledge to further your climb in Valorant. Definitely advise you guys to watch more tournaments, as pros are just so exciting to watch, as well as there's a lot to learn from them. I know how tough it is for all of you guys climbing, but I believe in you guys. And remember, if you guys do need that extra help, go visit ProGuides.com and check out our new VOD review system. VOD reviews are a great way to see quick improvement. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already to show that you guys enjoyed the video, and it really helps us out a lot at ProGuides. Always appreciate the support. The name is Trey. Have a wonderful day and stay safe out there, guys. Peace out.